Let me check. I do have a previous coin, yeah.
In one Illinois classroom, a group of elementary students stand shoulder to shoulder around a humming 3D printer. The air carries that faint scent of melted plastic. Someone lifts a heart-shaped keychain off the print bed. Still soft, still warm. Proof that an idea just crossed over into something real. A few towns away, a middle schooler leans over a table with his broadcasting club, debating who should host next week's interview. By bedtime, he'll check on 5 3D printers running through the night, machines quietly building inventory for the business he runs from home. On their own, these moments feel small, easy to miss. But together, they start to suggest something bigger. Classrooms don't look the way they used to. The neat rows and silent worksheets haven't disappeared entirely, but they're sharing space now with soldering irons and design software and students who expect to make something. We talk about innovation like it lives in Silicon Valley boardrooms, but sometimes it's happening on a scuffed-up school desk, next to a Chromebook, and a pile of hand-drawn sketches. From the Learning Technology Center, this is a special Student Voices edition of the One-to-One podcast. I'm Linda. Before we start today's episode, I want to remind our listeners that our guests today are young. And to protect their privacy, I've changed their names and any other identifying information unless expressly permitted. Additionally, this episode will be audio only. When you walk into Christy McGraw's elementary classroom, you hear it. The low hum of machines, chairs shifting, a chorus of 3rd and 4th graders asking questions all at the same time. It might sound chaotic, but listen closely. It's focus.
Wait, can you ask for an entirely new thing?
Oh,
Could
maybe.
you reprint my lid?
Yes, I can reprint your lid. And then we can get your brown design.
It's curiosity at full volume. There's a row of computers against one wall, and the students sit, clicking and typing. At a glance, it looks like screen time. But what's happening here is different. These students are shaping ideas, rotating them, stretching them, hollowing them out. For many of them, this is the very beginning of their journey into 3D printing. If you've never stood next to a 3D printer while it works, it's hard to explain the feeling. You watch something that started as a sketch on a screen slowly take shape, thread by thread, until it's sitting there right in front of you. It starts in a program called TinkerCAD. Students drag and stretch basic shapes like cubes, cylinders, spheres. They measure, they adjust, they problem solve. Then they hit print. And a boxy machine begins laying down melted plastic in thin, careful lines. Layer by layer, math becomes something you can hold. It sounds magical, and sometimes it is, but it's also frustrating. Things don't print the way you imagined. Corners warp, pieces snap. Learning to design in 3 dimensions means learning to fail in 3 dimensions too. So they begin at square one. Their first projects are keychains and snowflakes, small prints to explore TinkerCAD's shapes and tools without getting overwhelmed. From there, they design more complex models like castles, houses, refrigerator items, and furniture for a robot family who lives in a dollhouse in Christy's classroom. I'd like to introduce you to Logan. He's in the 3rd grade, which means that this is the first year he's working with 3D printing at school. He holds up a small blue house and walks me through the details.
We were supposed to make little castles, but there was an option to make kind of like a house. So I added a chimney up here. There used to be little smoke bubbles, but I couldn't get them right, so I got rid of them. There's a little sign that says "My House" right there, but I can still kind of read the "my" in it, but the house is just blah 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 blah. It's been a while, but I think the floor was the first thing I did. And then I added the walls. The floor and the walls were one big block, but then I made it hollow, then added little windows and a door. And then I added this triangle roof and then the chimney. And then I added the sign, and then, and I put, just as a funny thing, I copy and pasted my house, made it really small, and then put it inside the house. So there's a small house inside of my house.
So you have a house nested inside of your house?
Yeah.
A house nested inside a house. Clever. Another third grader, Riley, took the assignment to build a castle and added her own incredibly specific, true-to-life details.
So my most recent one is my castle. And so what I had to do first was I had to build the base part, the platform, so I could actually build. And then I had to redo it a couple of times, but then I added this long square. And then what I did is I took a whole cube and I stuck it right here so you could see inside of the house. Then I thought of it's a castle. Maybe I should actually kind of make it a castle. So I made these things that you would usually see on a castle.
Yeah, the little I don't know what to call it, the scalloped edge.
Yeah. And then if you can't see inside there's a little tiny person that I added. And right next to it is a teeny tiny ant.
I had to ask her, why an ant?
It's because sometimes during the summer and the fall, sometimes little tiny ants start to kind of crawl in. Because also during the winter, because they want to stay warm. So I was just thinking that would be a cute idea.
Even in a castle, apparently, you can have an ant problem. There's something profoundly beautiful about Riley's design. It reflects the world around her. Her world. Somewhere along the way, she noticed ants gathering for warmth, maybe on her kitchen counter over Christmas break. She held on to that tiny observation, and months later, it found its way into her print. Isn't this the very essence of art? Holding up a mirror to reality, no matter how small the reflection. You start to notice a pattern. Each student brings something of themselves into their 3D prints. A memory, a quirk, a little piece of the world they live in. This is Harlow.
So first I made a dog cake pop. If you have ever been to Starbucks, I've made a little dog cake pop. And then to go along with Mr. Cake Pop, I got a Starbucks cup. And I actually made it adjustable where the straw can come out. And then you can put it back in because there's a hole at the top.
Do you have a favorite Starbucks drink?
Probably the acai lemon refresher with light ice and boba.
This was originally supposed to be a galleon from Harry Potter. I put a 6 on it, and everybody was like, this was last year. Everybody's like, where is the 7? I was like, I didn't put a 7 on it. It's not I didn't really care about that because that's not really funny.
Okay, a little context here. This is Keegan. He's a self-proclaimed inventor and lover of all things Harry Potter. He's showing me a replica of a galleon, a currency they use in the wizarding world.
And then there's actually supposed to be a dragon on here because I looked at the annual one
put my Harry Potter on, and I was like, oh, there's supposed to be like a dragon on here, and it says Gringotts.
You seem like a huge Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, I am.
What's your house?
My house Ravenclaw.
And soon we will be doing this fridge food thing.
This is Yuri.
And I've already made my fridge food. It's like Yoplait strawberry banana yogurt. Because, I really like strawberry banana yogurts. And, this is something I would find in my fridge. It has banana and strawberry.
And it's multiple colors, too.
Mm-hmm. I used the scribble tool for this one to make it yellow and like the shape of a banana. And I made this one red like a strawberry. And the top, I didn't want to add strawberry seeds because that would kind of take a while. So I didn't. But if I did, it would have been way more realistic.
As we talked, Yuri was maneuvering a pair of pliers, carefully breaking the supports off his yogurt model. Sometimes, depending on the shape you're printing, you have to add supports. These are pieces of plastic that are intentionally added to hold up the design, but are easily broken off at the end to reveal the final product. I like to think of them like a kind of popsicle stick, holding parts of the model up while it forms.
It feels really satisfying. So I can talk while I do this.
Watching him work, I was suddenly back in elementary school. Finger painting, gluing macaroni, cutting out glossy magazine photos for a collage. It didn't feel academic at the time. It felt creative, messy, fun. But that was learning too. What Yuri was doing felt like a continuation of that tradition. The tools are different, the materials are different, but the essence, it's still kids making something with their hands, and in the process, making connections in their minds. You feel very focused when you're doing this. Do you find that you're focused when you work on 3D printing?
Yes, a lot. Whenever I'm trying to build something, it's hard to it is. It's just I need to focus on that only. And I just finished.
But while it's fun, really fun, 3D printing can also be tricky. A shape that looks perfect on a screen doesn't always behave the way you expect in the real world. Students quickly learn that designing takes patience. It's rarely a one-and-done process.
Whenever stuff doesn't go the way I like it, I get really frustrated.
This is Riley again.
But sometimes, depending on what it is, sometimes I try to stay calm, but that doesn't go out so well. My biggest frustration was trying to get all my pieces to connect together, and I just got really mad when it wouldn't look how as I wanted it to.
Each student I talked with had a failure story. It didn't take long to realize that none of them had a perfect printing record. Failure wasn't theoretical to them. It wasn't just something adults talk about overcoming. It was familiar. And they talked about it the way you talk about weather. Not dramatically, just matter of fact.
I'm why didn't I see that before? Why do I see that that's not right? It's come on.
This is Amy, a 4th grader. She builds really complex models, like tiny bookshelves with removable books.
Well, if you want to fix it, you have to redo the entire thing. You have to go back in and change it.
Because does it just kind of fall apart on the bed?
No, it does it exactly how you want it, but if it's not right, then you're oh, now I have to redo the entire thing again.
Actually, yesterday we had technology class, and I had to erase half of this stuff because it wasn't at the right angle and it was all floating, so I had to redo it. I actually feel oh my gosh, I have to do this all over again. Oh my gosh, why do I have to redo this?
I've had this happen to me like 2 times. It's not nice. It gets all the strings. Like I was making this Patronus from the Harry Potter books, and all the strings that I was making, they got tangled. So like the bottom was like screwed up, and I just had to stop it immediately and throw it in the trash. It was perfectly fine until it screwed up.
Like I said, tricky. But if the first lesson is failure, the second lesson is how to pick themselves up again.
What I do is, so I look at what is wrong, and if I need help, like if I can't figure out anything and my friend can't help, I always ask Miss McGraw. But whenever Miss McGraw is helping someone else, usually I just mess around with the tools and see if I'm able to figure out my problem. I've had to get a ticket to redo because for one time for my snowflake, the dot for my eyes in my family members' names kept coming off, and so the solution to that was we could make the eyes capitalized so that the dot wouldn't keep coming off.
Because I'm not really angry. I just a little bit disappointed. Oh well, then I'll try again.
So I put the heart on the plate, and then the name kept floating, and at the time I didn't know how to like get the name on the ground. So like I asked Mrs. McGraw, and she like showed me, and then I tried. Because usually when she like shows us and then she's erased it so we could try it, and I just couldn't do it, so I had to move on. And then I did some other things to my keychain, and then I tried to come back, and then I failed again. And I'm like, why do I keep failing? And then I tried again, and it didn't work. And then on Friday when I came back, I tried again, and it actually worked because I looked from a different angle. I'm like, yes, finally. I'm done. Oh my gosh, I just figured it out.
Looking from a different angle. That is the secret to engineering, to art, and to 3D printing. In this classroom, failure doesn't feel risky. The stakes are just a few cents of plastic filament and another chance to try again. And according to their teacher, Christy McGraw, that ability to swing and miss is exactly the point of having this technology in schools.
One of the 4th graders created a lid that didn't fit. And so I printed out her entire design. She took all of the supports off of her design, and then she went to go put the lid on her design. And she's, I just spent all that time removing the supports, and it doesn't fit. So I told her, we'll have you redesign it, make sure that it fits, and I'll reprint it. You'll reprint it? I'll reprint it. But as she was leaving, she said, can you make sure that my lid fits? No, you make sure that your lid fits. And so what's great, though, is if it doesn't fit, redesign it and print it again. And so failure is simply a learning opportunity, which is phenomenal because this is learning real life. It's okay. It didn't work this time, but now I can try again. And it's a wonderful experience for the students to have that, where failure is not a bad thing. It's just a chance to try it again.
They're learning that they don't just get one chance to get it right. If the stairs on Logan's house are lopsided, or if the roof of Riley's castle won't connect, they just head back to the software, adjust the X and Y axis, and try again. And eventually, they peel away the plastic supports to reveal something that belongs entirely to them. For now, they're still learning the basics, but the ideas in their heads are huge. I asked them, if you had no limits If you had the biggest 3D printer in the world with all the filament you could ever want, what would you build?
I would make like a robot head, not like a body for the robot, but like a robot head, because I don't want a robot just walking around my house when I'm trying to sleep or something. So yeah, just like a robot head talking stuff would be cool.
I'd probably print a robot that does my laundry and my chores. Because like every time, can you do your laundry? Can you do your chores? No, I don't want to do my laundry. I don't want to do my chores.
I would probably print multiple things, but I would probably like print some like characters from like games or something to play around with, or like something like the others said, like something to help me with something. But you would have to like get to know how to like code it and make it like move around and stuff. So it would be hard, but in the end, I would feel proud of myself.
For the third graders, 3D printing is a first step, a way to pull ideas from the screen and into their hands. By fourth grade, the work changes. The projects get more complex, more purposeful. They're no longer just making keychains or figures. They're stepping into the shoes of engineers, tasked with designing assistive and adaptive devices. Assistive devices help someone who navigates the world differently, people with different needs or disabilities. They can be small, like a pencil grip, or something intricate, like a prosthetic limb. For these projects, the students have to step into someone else's shoes. Who will use this? How will it make life easier? For Christy, the inspiration for this unit came from a deeply personal chapter of her own life.
It first came from an experience I had growing up. I have an uncle who was a quadriplegic. So he was paralyzed from the armpits all the way down. And so it was due to an accident. It wasn't something he was born. He wasn't born being disabled. So he was moved around to various family members. And so he lived with me and my family for quite a while. So the time when he was living there, I watched all that he required assistance to do. So I saw what my parents would have to do to just have my uncle get through the daily tasks of living. Now, as he taught himself how to do things that most of us take for granted, I saw how he would often wrap Velcro around his hand, and then he would have somebody stick a fork or a spork into that. So he was able to move his arms up and down so he could feed himself with that Velcro wrapped around his hand. So that actually became the inspiration of, if you can use Velcro to do these things that my uncle did 20 years ago, what can 3D printing do today?
She encouraged them to think beyond their own desks, beyond what they could see in the classroom. The world, she reminded them, is full of people whose daily routines are different, who may struggle with simple tasks. With that in mind, her fourth graders set out to tackle real-world problems. Take Evan, for instance. He realized that for someone with a visual impairment, the objects around them might all feel the same. His idea came from a simple and slightly funny mistake he'd made.
Sometimes I grab the wrong thing. When I want to grab a banana, sometimes I grab a tissue.
It's probably safe to assume Evan doesn't actually mistake bananas for tissues, but I got the point right away. For someone who can't rely on sight or precise motor skills, everyday objects aren't always easy to tell apart. Evan came up with a solution: 3D printed sleeves that fit over everyday items. Each has a different number of bumps, so you can feel the difference. Some even have a tiny braille pad, so the bumps match a label. Simple, but clever, and it works for things like toothbrushes, crayons, or anything that might get mixed up. I'll let him explain.
So I've been making like crayon holders and like toothbrush holders to like tell whose toothbrush is whose and like what crayon is which color. So for the toothbrush, I made it so that you can put some stuff onto a toothbrush to tell whose is who so you don't accidentally grab the wrong one. And this is one with 3 bumps. You can put it down here and it fits perfectly.
And you said it has 3 bumps?
Yes.
And you made one with like 2 bumps, one with 1 bumps?
Yeah, and one with 4 bumps. Probably if someone is like blind, they would use this so they wouldn't accidentally grab like their sibling's toothbrush on accident. It will help them get their teeth cleaner and not like encounter other people's germs. And for the crayon holder, I had this little pad to tell you like if it has 1 bump, that means it's probably the red crayon. And if it has like 2, it's the orange one.
They sent the design to an Illinois school for blind and visually impaired students to see how it could be improved and, maybe, to make school a little less confusing for someone reaching for a crayon or a pencil or a tissue or a banana. Another 4th grader, Flora, focused on memory. She designed a hanging ring with cards for each meal, something you could glance at or touch to know what's already happened that day. After breakfast, you flip the card. After lunch, another.
This is like to remember if you've had breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So once you've had breakfast, you just turn this over and flip it to the back. And once you've had lunch, you just flip it over and turn it to the back. And you just keep doing that every time you eat. If someone like doesn't remember a lot of things, they can just have this for a bunch of different things. It doesn't only have to be for like if you had to eat a meal. It could be for like if you like steps for if you get up in the morning.
Avery approached the same problem differently, creating a platform with 3 boxes, 1 for each meal. Instead of flipping cards on a ring, you drop a cube into each of the boxes. She even considered that others may struggle to remove the cubes once they were snugly nested in each box. So she added vertical slots on each side, a carefully engineered way to place your finger and pull the cube up.
It's like this thin plate, and it has 3 different boxes in it with holes that hope you like grab this, and it says meals on the top. And after you ate in this meal, you put it in the square. So like here I have breakfast, I'd put it in the square. Then I'd have lunch, I'd put it in the square. My original plan was to make some cubes that spun, but I didn't know how to put those on something that would spin. So I ended up doing this. Somebody who is like, well, I'm hungry, but I don't remember what meal I ate. I've eaten. What mealtime is it? And then they can just look at this and be like, well, I have the breakfast down, but there's no lunch, so it must mean it's time for lunch.
Designing for someone else raises the stakes. A crooked roof on a 3rd grader's castle? That's harmless, almost charming. But an adaptive device that looks perfect on a screen but fails to be helpful in real life doesn't actually assist the person who needs it most. The design from idea to final product has to pass the ultimate test. Is it useful? Keegan learned that lesson quickly. He was designing an adjustable deodorant holder for people with limited mobility, people who may struggle to lift their arms or hold a small deodorant stick. On the computer screen, it looked complete. But printing has a way of exposing every oversight.
This is my assistive adaptive device. This is a deodorant holder, an adjustable one. Okay, so this was my original thing. There's no hole in this. You can't even put the deodorant in there. I forgot to do a hole there. There's no bottom part, so if you put it, it'll just slide all the way through. And I was like, oh, okay. And then there's supposed to be like a slip right here. Hole right here, slip right here. The slip is where the part actually goes and doesn't come off. The hole is where it goes in and slides. And look what happened here. There's part of it. And there's only one hole here because this thing, I just got heated up and I'm so angry that I just no, stop it. I was just so done with it that I just made a slip. I forgot to make the special part that makes it go in and out, so it doesn't really move.
After the failed print, Keegan went back to his design. The flaw was obvious in hindsight. No base. Nothing to hold the deodorant in place. So he adjusted the measurements, rebuilt the structure, printed again. By the time he finished, he had a working prototype. Hours went into it. The sketching, the TinkerCAD adjustments, the trial and error. You can hear it in his voice. He's running through a mental checklist, figuring out how to make it better. This is what engineers do on a larger scale. Christy's fourth graders may be small, but their work matters. They are the designers of the future. But for now, their goal is simple: make life just a little easier for the person who needs it. One day, Christy got a message from the school's special education department. They were working with a nonverbal student who relied on very specific objects to move through his day. Christy wondered if her students could help.
One of the things that I also loved is I contacted the special ed department this year to see if there was anything that we could create for them that would be able to be used in the classroom. And so they told me the first thing that they needed was a kindergartner could not hold a pencil or a crayon correctly. So I went and found just some pre-made designs. I had them printed. Within a half hour of receiving that design, the teacher took a picture of the student holding a pencil correctly using a 3D printed assistive device. The special ed department also reached out and said, we have a nonverbal student, and these are some very specific items that he uses during the school day. Can you create miniature versions of these specific items so that when it is time for him to go to the blue table, he knows I'm going to grab the blue table because it's time for the blue table. Mm-hmm. When it's time for my Oreo snack, I'm going to grab the Oreo because it's time for my Oreo snack.
So the fourth graders went to work. They imagined and tested and tinkered.
We had students design some of these very specific items, like a stop sign and a chair and a table. So students were able to design that, and they said, well, where's my design? And I told them, it's being used in the special education classroom right now. And so they have such that feeling of pride that something that they have created is being useful, is being helpful, and is actually being used in the school.
Their designs end up all over the school, one prototype at a time. Christy told me about a phone stand that a student designed to help teachers monitoring the recess yard. Another student designed a small device that slides under a soda can tab to help you lift it without breaking a fingernail.
His design was something that would open up a soda can. And so it would be able to be slid under the tab, and then you can pull open the cap without breaking your fingernails. So I brought in a can. Once his device was printed, I brought in a can so that he could test his device. The pride and joy that he had when he tested his device and it worked, he was just glowing. I don't think he has ever had an experience where something he did mattered so much. For him just to open that can and he handed it to me. I mean, even the way he handed the soda can to me was, here you go. And I was like, oh my goodness, that was amazing. To have that sense of pride, accomplishment for somebody who doesn't necessarily get that but he made something that mattered. And the school secretary came in and she said, "What a great design. I could use that. I know a bunch of people who could use that design." And so the capability of students to create something that truly can be used in our school is such an amazing experience. For the fourth grader's design to be used at morning walking, for her to see that in use every single morning is such an exciting experience to see, hey, I made that. That's mine. That's my design. And they're using it. To me, that just gives me goosebumps, and it makes this matter. And I love that. I love that.
Technology is often introduced to kids as something to consume. Apps, games, social media. But in the classroom, teachers have the ability to write a different story. Technology is something you can shape, something you can aim toward a problem. It does not have to be a passive experience. At its best, technology allows us to be more human, to harness our creativity and our compassion in new ways. We know that 3D printers are machines, but to a third or fourth grader, a 3D printer is magic. It makes them feel like they can make anything, do anything, and be anything.
I say this about 3D printing because it is something I truly believe is the students who seem to be some of the best designers are the ones who may not be your best math students. They may not be your best language arts students, but their capability of creating and designing is off the charts. So you may tap into something that you may not realize that this student has inside them, and 3D design can bring that out of them.
When I was in elementary school, it was the 90s. Computers were just starting to show up in homes. I remember typing class. The librarian would drape a washcloth over my tiny fingers so I'd learn to type by feel, not sight. I wasn't very good at it. Not until middle school did my fingers start keeping up. Technology quickly became part of my learning landscape. Floppy disks to USB drives to the cloud, Word docs, slideshows. But what I remember most was my drawing tablet. Armed with a CD-ROM of Photoshop CS4, I spent hours teaching myself the program and learning how to draw and paint digitally. My mind was running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I was learning so much about technology, about art, and about myself. Eventually, I wanted to share my work. I dove into online artist communities and forums. I learned very basic HTML to tweak websites, even experimented with animation to bring ideas to life. I wouldn't recommend some of it today. The internet can be a risky place for a kid. But it changed the trajectory of my learning. Looking back, I know one thing. If I'd had a 3D printer and a teacher guiding me along the way, I'd probably sound exactly like the students in Christy's classroom today.
My thoughts are like during the entire day, I'm like, can we just get to technology now? Just take me to technology. I just want to go 3D print and design.
Well, basically, when I wake up, I don't really instantly go like, yes. But when I'm about to, like, when we're back from lunch and I look at the what special we have today and it's technology, I'm like, yes, I get to see what my project is, or yes, we get to make something new today.
I'm always so excited. Like, I love making stuff. Like, at home, I build a lot of stuff. In class, I build a lot of stuff. And I just get super excited whenever the time has come, because I know I get to see Miss McGraw, and I know I get to mess around with the TinkerCAD stuff.
You know, 3D printing makes me happy. And it also gets my interest a lot. I love technology. 2D stuff is also my favorite too. I really just like seeing, like, printing things for fun. I have a printer at home too, so like everybody's asking me to print stuff, and I also get to print stuff here, so it's just really fun because then I'm like, ooh, now I can do technology at home too.
Honestly, my favorite part is just getting to even use TinkerCAD and get to make stuff. Like, I'm just happy I get to do it.
Probably getting to take them home and like show my family. They usually think it's really cool and are like, yeah, it's really cool. I like to like have like a collection because like whenever you 3D print something, it's like smooth and nice, and it just, you feel proud of yourself for doing your own work.
I'm bored. What do I do now? I'm just looking around trying to find something, and then I'm like, ooh, TinkerCAD. So I just go on and print something.
Because I'm an inventor and I like to make things. In fact, right now I'm building a Lego city without any instruction. I've gotten like better at knowing what I want to print instead of like Mrs. McGraw telling me.
I feel like if there's anything that you don't have that you wanted, you should just try to 3D print it, like maybe a toy or something.
Did I really design that? Did I make that? Really?
When I first set out to tell this story, I imagined it as one episode, a single journey following elementary students and an 8th grader, seeing the natural progression from small prints to bigger ideas. But once I visited the classrooms, listened to the students, and watched what they were capable of, it was obvious. There was too much story to tell in one sitting. The curiosity, it deserves space to breathe. So, we're splitting it into 2 parts. Next month, we'll pick up a few cities over, following an 8th grader who's taking these early sparks and turning them into a real 3D printing business. He builds luggage tags for charity. He helps his school's weekly broadcasting club. And he even films a movie with his group of friends. The story is just starting. See you next month for part 2. This episode was a special edition of the One-to-One podcast, produced by the Learning Technology Center. Your writer and narrator was Linda DeYoung. A heartfelt thank you to Christy McGraw, her students, and her school district for welcoming us into their classrooms. Thanks also to the parents who foster curiosity and support their kids' passions. And to you, our listeners, for taking the journey with us.